Welcome back to Viewpoint. I'm Jim Zogby. My next guest is Arab-American comedian Dean Obeidallah. You may recognize him from the groundbreaking Axis of Evil comedy tour, co-creator of the comedy show Stand Up for Peace and Comedy Central's internet series The Watch List, also co-founder and co-producer of the New York Arab-American Comedy Festival and its executive director of Amman Stand-Up Comedy Festival, first of its kind in the Middle East. I actually want to do that. We'll start with a couple of clips from the Amman tour.
Sure.
The Amman show. Let's go to that.
Doing shows around the region, so obviously Dubai's struggling a little bit now. I hope things get better. I was there like a year ago. It was still crazy construction. This is when I'm standing there and the guy goes, excuse me, can you move? I'm like, why? Because we're putting a building here. I'm like, what kind of building? He goes, oceanfront. I'm like, there's no ocean. He goes, come back next week. I put that ocean right there. Slightly overexpending, I mean, maybe a little bit overexpending. But I want to see some Arab versions of movies. Like, this is my dream. Like, we need to get more of us to be like some fun Arab, like, I want to see like an Arab James Bond. This is my dream. Instead of saying Bond, James Bond, he goes, Abdullah, Abdullah, Abdullah. Or maybe an Arab vamp, like Twilight's the big, how many people have seen Twilight? How about an Arab vamp, like an Arab Muslim vampire? Instead of being afraid of a cross, he's afraid of pork. You hold it up. Haram. Bacon, haram. So we have our President Obama. Last year I was so excited about President Obama. You guys still like President Obama? Some people? Some people? Some people in America, he sort of, I think Obama's got a great response though. He should go on TV in America like, you don't like me? I could bring George Bush back.
I was actually going to start with that question. What's it like life after Bush? I mean, there was so much to work with. Are you having withdrawal?
As a comedian, we do miss him a little bit, but it's balanced by the fact, it's overweighed by the fact that as an American, I'm happy he's gone. But as a comedian, he provided material right to the end, right with the shoe throwing, right his last few weeks of being president. Obama's been a struggle for all comedians to write jokes about. I think a lot of it is at the fact that most of us like him, and it's hard. Comedy so much is insult-driven or mocking. And when you like someone, it's harder to make jokes about that. In time, we'll have more jokes about Obama.
So this is part of the liberal establishment.
I am clearly part of the liberal establishment. I'm guilty completely. That's what I am.
You watched the State of the Union last night?
Yeah, I watched most of it.
You know, the meanness that's out there. Does that make humor harder, or does meanness play into humor?
If somebody's really mean, like if the Republicans are really mean, it's easier to make fun of them because there's less sympathy for them. If they're being really nice, or if any person's being really nice, and you start attacking that person, audiences sometimes might pull back if you're mocking them. I mean, it's easy.
But do they poison the atmosphere?
I think they make certain people so angry about things that the minute you bring up politics in a show, sometimes people just turn off because they're like, oh no, or you don't agree with them. If you espouse a position they don't agree with, it doesn't matter if it's funny or not. They're like, I don't want to hear it. I do a lot of college shows. I find college students are the best audience because they might not agree with you, but if it's funny, they're going to laugh. Some older people are so entrenched in their position, if you say something they don't agree with, even if it's funny, they might not laugh at it. So college shows are really the most fun to me.
Talk about the atmosphere post-Christmas, this situation on the plane. Yeah. Has it altered your travel plans at all? We had a meeting today with Homeland Security about this.
Oh, you did?
Nobody quite knows how it's going to work. 14 countries on the list,
right.
Secondary screening, etc. Even if you're an American going to one of those countries, you going to go back to Beirut again?
I am, hopefully this summer for our tour. Arab's Gone Wild.
Have you had any experiences yet?
No. You got to feel bad for the Cubans. For no reason they're on that list. We're Cuban guys. Like, what did I do? I mean, he had nothing to do with anything, but they're on that list. You hear today? I took the train down, and I definitely heard if you see something, say something about 10 times on the train. And I keep thinking, is it about me? Like you wonder, do you see something? But you're literally, not exaggerating, I heard the guy say it, the conductor at every stop. And you wonder if that's part of the heightened...
What do you say?
If you see something, say something. That whole thing, that we hear that expression in New York all the time. But basically tell us if you see something, which is subtle for like you see an Arab on the train, you know, talking or going to the bathroom or something, talk to us. It's still there. It's much better than the first few years after 9/11. There's no doubt it's gotten so much better, the atmosphere. Yeah. But little things bring you back. I mean, the Nigerian guy, it scares people again. And when it first came out, he was Nigerian. I'll tell you, me and I think most Arabs were like, yeah, he's not an Arab. Then he turns out to have a Muslim name. That's not helpful.
And he went to Yemen.
Yeah, it didn't help. But at first,
you haven't done a comedy show in Yemen.
No, although I was just in Muscat in May, and I'm going back in March, and it's right next to Yemen.
Yeah.
No one's invited us to Yemen. I'm not sure. I haven't had any fear going almost anywhere to perform in the region, so I'd do it, I think.
Tell me about the comedy, the stand-up tour in Oman. You had a great run with it. Wonderful story in the New York Times.
It was fun. It was the Oman Stand-Up Comedy Festival. It was our second year. Our first year was last year. The year before, that was the first time there's ever a stand-up comedy festival. In the region, there's been stand-up comedy the last couple of years, and there's certainly been comedy in the Middle East. I don't want people to think, oh, they never laughed before we came.
Oh,
there.
I remember a Jordanian group came to a thing we did at the Amman Economic Summit. That was one of the peace process back when we thought we were making peace, and it was a fascinating group that did mimicry. There was a Rabin character and a King Hussein character and an Arafat character. They were identical to these guys and hilarious. Real satire. It was real fun stuff.
I think one of the men who did that, I think, was Nabil Zalwaha, who was in our festival this year. He's an older man, did his act in Arabic. Of the 7 nights in Jordan, 5 nights English, 2 nights Arabic. But there's been a long history of comedy, and I keep telling Americans, they know how to laugh. It's just something Americans haven't seen, and stand-up is brand new, and that's what's new, this form. And the young people have really taken to it. We have seminars when we're there. I feel like we're comedy missionaries, I tell people. We're bringing comedy, not religion, and we're teaching them comedy. We have auditions, add some of the shows, plus we have a lot of A-list comics coming from the region.
Let me put the tour you've got coming up now, starting Saturday night.
Saturday night.
At George Washington?
Yep, Lisner Auditorium. Yep.
30th, and it's you and Maysoon and Aaron, and I guess some other folks with you.
In each city, we'll add some other comics in it.
So it's a number of cities, and then you're going back to the Middle East.
We are, and it looks like after Muscat, we're probably going to go to Dubai right after that. It's not 100%, but it's looking likely. And maybe even in Abu Dhabi. It's not sure, right? But once you go out to the region, you tend to do other shows in the area. So it looks like the Gulf will do a little.
And I talked about the Stand Up for Peace. That's an interesting thing.
Well, Stand Up for Peace was myself and my friend Scott Blakeman, who's Jewish American, very progressive.
Are they funny?
Who?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, there's no history of Jewish people being funny. It's the first one. I found him. It was amazing. I couldn't. Obviously, our comedy comes a lot. Our tradition of comedy as Arabs comes a lot from the Jewish American tradition of comedy during difficult times, where they use comedy to try to become part of America. But Scott and myself were just friends for years, and about 5 or 6 years ago, we said, "You want to do something for a fundraiser for like Seeds of Peace or something?" And we did, and then it kind of grew from there. We do a lot of college shows, and it's myself and Scott. It's about most of the shows are co-sponsored by the Arab and Muslim and Jewish student groups. We bring people together to laugh, to show our commonality, and at the end we'll talk about the Middle East and about the peace process and getting involved.
Do we have a clip from this?
I don't think we have a clip from that. There was just a still. We didn't have.
Let me put the tour list up though, where you're going with this. This is where Stand Up for Peace. You got a couple of shows coming up.
Yeah.
Hobart.
And even more. Now we're going to be in April, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and Dearborn, and some other colleges that just got added recently. So we do a lot of college. I was just at University of Pennsylvania Saturday with Scott.
I do have another clip though of one of the performances. Before I take a call, let me get that clip in here. Just want to show it to you.
9/11 happens. Also, I'm an Arab. Yeah. And the worst thing for us that you only know bad things. Like, I'm jealous. We don't get a month that celebrates our heritage, like Black History Month or Asian Awareness Month. You know what Arabs get? Orange Alert. Give tips to Middle Eastern people, because I travel all the time as a comic, and they get stopped at the airport, and I give tips to Middle Eastern people. Look, if you're a Middle Eastern, even if you're Indian at this point, let's be honest, don't wear anything with Middle Eastern writing. Remember this expression, dress white, make your flight. Dress white, make your flight.
Dress white, make your flight.
If you don't know what that means, 2 words, Banana Republic, my friends. Khaki pants, polo shirt with a little animal like an alligator or a tiger. No camel, no camel.
It's the Axis of Evil Comedy Tour.
These are actual comments people have said when I tell them I'm Arab. Oh, you're Arab. Wow, I love hummus. Oh, you're Arab. Okay. Nothing more. Oh, you're Arab. Ah, that's exotic. Yeah, like kiwi, you know. I'm sweet, tasty, a little hairy.